Welcome back on the AM show. And from Prime Take Sports, we veer into the hard stuff. And this morning, as I share with you my blunt thoughts, I've titled it, Corruption in High Places. The Economic Hyenas Robbing Ghana Blind. Corruption in high places. The economic hyenas robbing Ghana blind. This past Sunday, while preparing for church, I remembered one of our patriotic songs, one we sang back then, which I do not know whether it's sung today in our schools. It goes something like this. Oseye Gano, Oseye Gano, Oseye Gano, Oseye Gano. Mawe ninje se free Ghana, Mawe ninje se ye Ghana ni. Mawe ninje se free Ghana, me se mawe ninje se ye Ghana ni. Ye wo gold wo maimo, o se. Ye wo cocoa wo maimo, o se. Ye wo diamond wo maimo, o se. Ye wo timber wo maimo, o se. O se ye Ghana. But then I had to quickly remind myself, can you today still sing that song, beat your chest and say, I am proud to be Ghanaian? Can you? All those things I mentioned, gold, cocoa, diamond, timber, in what state are they today? What is our environment like today? Our forest cover so far has been depleted by an alarming rate. In 2010, Ghana had 7 megahectares of natural forest, extending over 30% of its land area. In 2022, it lost 118 kilohectares of natural forest, equivalent to about 78 metric tons of CO2 emissions. From 2002 to 2022, Ghana lost 130 kilohectares of humid primary forest, making up 8.7% of its total tree cover loss in that period. Total area of humid primary forest in Ghana decreased by 12% in the same time frame that I'm talking about. In fact, from 2001 to 2022, Ghana has lost 1.53 megahectares of tree cover, equivalent to a 22% decrease in tree cover since 2000, and 843 metric tons of CO2 emissions. In addition, there were 36,000, just within 2023, 36,790 deforestation alerts reported in Ghana between the 10th of December 2023 and the 17th of December 2023, this very month, covering a total of 450 hectares. You see, even our timber is not timbering anymore. How about cocoa? Even worse, after all these years of mining these minerals and hauling our cocoa abroad, how much have we been able to do development-wise on the back of them? We still send a chunk of our cocoa out unprocessed. No wonder after so many years we still need a syndicated loan. We need to borrow in order to buy our own cocoa and make a profit. Can't you see we're sick as a people? Who does that? Even entrepreneurs borrow, try to turn a profit, try to stand on their own feet, and stop borrowing. They only go back where there is the need for more resources for expansion of their business, and they do so with a plan. No one, absolutely nobody, wants to keep borrowing forever. I guess Ghana's leaders did not get that particular memo. But even as I talk about that, I'm going to connect it because our natural resources are at stake in this latest Strategic Management Limited contract, the stinker that we've brought to you. So I'll come to the slides now, and later I'll wrap with some more succinct points. You look at the SML yearly $100 million contract, and what's the purpose? Well, monitoring the production and shipment of oil and gold out of the country. Monitoring. $100 million. All right, so let's get to the next one. Now, in terms of, and here's the breakdown, it gets interesting. The remuneration from oil, they have to get $0.75 per barrel a day. Then, for current oil production in a day, we know we're producing anything between 160,000 and 170,000 barrels daily. In terms of the daily oil remuneration, they will then get, you are looking at between $120,000 and $127,500. And the yearly remuneration, of course, if you do the math, $43.8 million to $46.5 million. This is just for oil. Let's go to gold. Next slide. Now for gold, again, 0.75% of the total gold produced at $1,800 per ounce. So the current gold production 2022, 3.7 million ounces or 106 tons. If you do the math, then it would mean per ounce per the 2024 budget, what they are getting is $1,800 and the yearly remuneration will be $50 million. Add the two, you're looking at just around $100 million. Yeah. 1/6 of the latest tranche, which we are hoping in January we'll be able to execute and get credit for from the IMF. Next slide. Now, in terms of all of this, according to the Petroleum Commission, okay, it is not aware of the contract awarded to SML, number one. Two, there are no reports of any revenue losses resulting from deliberate or accidental calculations. No losses. No one has complained. Number three, all arrangements put in place to ensure transparency in the upstream petroleum sector are provided for. So, how did SML get into the picture? Next slide. SML, taking a trip down memory lane. Let's backtrack a bit. SML signed a contract with the Ministry of Finance and the GRA in 2019 to curtail losses in the downstream petroleum sector. Only though they know what exactly those losses were. It started what it calls, quote, revenue assurance services to the GRA in the downstream petroleum sector in June 2020. They had, and mind you, we like this country. Anyway, I'll leave that point out. They had no prior experience in these services, SML. Nothing before. They had never been in this. Never before. And finally, the GRA has been the only customer of SML since its establishment. Does that say something? Yeah, I don't know. Read between the lines. Next slide. Then we hear from always clad in white Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. I greet you this morning, sir. I don't know whether you have any biblical quotations for me this morning, but we could look at one. We are really excited about this change where we can now determine and get the exact revenues we want. We are really excited about this change where we can now determine and get the exact revenues we want. I am surprised by this statement. You know why? So are we saying our customs officials, the GRA among others, did not have what it takes? And these $3 billion that we claimed we were bleeding, where were they going? Where were they going? Where are the facts to show that they were going anywhere else? It's interesting, isn't it? Next slide. Now, if you look at the claims that were made by SML, March 2021, and pictured here Mr. Soti, who is the managing director. March 21, Strategic Mobilization Limited claimed saving Ghana 1 billion Ghana cedis in revenue. That went in some newspapers, and then they had the gall because, hey, the first one had passed. So, February 2023, SML saves Ghana 3 billion Ghana cedis since 2020. The Daily Graphic captured that story. Next slide. Then, according to the Fourth Estate sources, SML received up to 24 million Ghana cedis monthly. Why? So the monthly receipts 24 million, annual receipts 288 million Ghana cedis. In a 3-year span, 864 million Ghana cedis, close to 1 billion Ghana cedis. That's a lot of pay. Next slide. And if you look at the 864 million, just ask yourself, we've been bringing you Ghana schools of shame. We're bringing you this, that. How much more could that have done for the pupils in Tamfiano who are studying close to a cemetery? Close to a cemetery. Cars passing by, people shouting all over, cemetery. Would you want your child to study in that kind of deplorable situation? That's what they have to face. The so-called future leaders. While their compatriots in other countries have very plush settings, and you expect them to perform same. We're dreamers. Now the fight back, SML says the Fourth Estate's expose was full of inaccuracies and false claims. It put out some statements with points that were shredded, torn apart again by Fourth Estate and others. The GRA denies questionable contract with SML. They insist deal saved Ghana 3 billion Ghana cedis. That there's nothing nefarious about it. We have helped sanitize downstream petroleum sector. That's according to the SML. But are those the facts? Next slide. Now, the SML's work has increased revenue in downstream petroleum sector, according to the GRA, which, by the way, mind you, when Manasseh and his team interacted with some members of the GRA, core members, at the time, they said they had no idea and that these claims about SML saving Ghana 3 billion cedis were new to them, that they knew nothing about it. That where was this coming from? Yet today, the work of SML over the period has led to a significant increase in the figures reported in the downstream petroleum sector from an average of 350 million litres per month in 2018 and 2019 to 450 million litres per month from 2020 and 2021. This represents over a 33% increase in volume reporting and an average of an extra 100 million litres per month at a levy rate of 1 cedi and 44 pesos. Now that's what the GRA is telling us. Next slide. And that's where it gets really interesting for me. I said the last time, and I'll repeat it. If the leadership of the GRA were to change today, would the new leadership say the same things that the current leadership is saying? I'm just asking questions. I'm not saying anything. I'm not insinuating anything. I always throw the information out, read between the lines. Yeah, I'm not saying anything. Mr. Sotti says, contrary to the tone set by the Fourth Estate, SML has been instrumental in sanitizing the downstream petroleum sector through the implementation of cutting-edge technologies and innovative practices. While, when the Fourth Estate went to him, he couldn't substantiate any of this. When he was put on the spot, how much was involved? What work exactly were you doing? In fact, he contradicted. There have been a number of contradictions, he himself. And then one of the engineers there. But we'll leave it at that. Like I said, we're not telling you what to think. Read between the fine print. But you see, I get worried. My heart bleeds. All these sums of money, all these contracts, all these things happening. We're talking of close to 1 billion, over 860 million Ghana cedis going to SML. Are these for real? Are they doing what they claim they're doing? After all what has been proven, put out there, are our state institutions living up to the billing of trust, accountability, probity, transparency that we expect? And we as a people, do we think just sitting on our behinds will bring about the sort of change we want? Our leadership today, I dare say, is built on 3 pillars: corruption, wastage, and draconian taxes. Our leadership today is built on 3 pillars: corruption, wastage, and draconian taxes. That's what's happening. Recently, there was someone who made mention of the fact that, indeed, he had actually had to pay a certain set of taxes. He actually transferred from his mobile money account 1,500 Ghana cedis to his current account, paid about 34, 35 cedis in tax. To his own account. Is that what we were told? Is that how we were told things would go? Is it? Recently, I heard of something where the GRA is now going to implement some taxes on ride-hailing service owners. So if you, apart from all the taxes we've been complaining about, the draconian taxes, why is that COVID-19 levy still there? Apart from all of that, now they're talking of taxes. So if you own any vehicle running Uber, Bolt, Yango, all of those, yeah, get ready. On the very first day of January, they're starting with taxes. There's a VIT, vehicle income tax, something of the sort. And you have to comply. You have to go by it. In case you didn't know. Yeah. So corruption, wastage, draconian taxes. How can that build an economy? And how can that make the people feel any better? Food for thought. Me, I just look for the information. I come, I share it with you, and it's left to you to digest it however you will. It's oppressive where we find ourselves, but in the end, we can be the change that we need. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. These are my blunt thoughts shared with you, raw, hot, unedited, undiluted. God richly bless Ghana and make her great and strong.